People won't stop fighting for physical copies of games, even if you tell them to give up. They're just that persistent. Apparently, there are only 7 games released on PlayStation that have sold more than 100,000 physical copies this year in the US. The majority of PlayStation sales has been digital. There you have it, guys. That means physical copies are dead. No one buys physical anymore. Physical-only gamers should give up right now. Digital is the future, right? Yeah, we're giving up, alright. We're giving up on PlayStation and moving on to way better platforms. At least PC has way more features and way more games, despite being digital only. Here's the thing. Most games are not released and distributed physically, the same way most YouTubers don't have Blu-ray copies of their videos. Uploading them is easier and cheaper than burning the Blu-ray disc, designing the covers and distributing them. That's how you got way more online consumers. Does that mean physical copies are worthless? No, absolutely not. Physical copies is still proper ownership for a majority of media. Not all games are playable on disc, but most of them are, even if you have to download patches for them so that they're playable. Even if it's hard to make and distribute physical copies, the sales are still significant. And this doesn't consider the used market, one that I literally contributed to by selling my physical copies of games for cheap in a bundle. There are so many sales happening there, but Sony doesn't want anyone to contribute to that. They want to monopolize it so that they can take all the profits for themselves. If you want us to raise the white flag and give up, most people already do. Except they don't give up complaining about it. They just give up on PlayStation as a whole. These people are raising the white flags for the company that you shield in favor of raising another flag for their competitors. Be careful what you wish for. PlayStation halting physical copies of games results in this chant of people going, "No disc, no buy." If you're pretty principled and actually take that hardline stance, I respect that, but I find it very difficult to convince gamers of, say, GTA 6 that they should not buy a game just because the disc version is unavailable. It's one of the most anticipated games of the century. Most people won't care about that game being digital or not, they just want to play it. Insomniac's Wolverine, on the other hand, I can make an argument for it. That game will have physical copies, and that game will be the last few games being released by Sony that will have them. No disc, no buy. If you want to buy that game, that is. Personally, I find Insomniac Spider-Man 2 rather underwhelming, so I'm not holding my breath on this one. They're paying me by making games I like. Real gamers don't care about causes. We just game. That implies if you do care about physical or digital, you're not a real gamer. You do not want to make that implication in these trying times just to shill a company that makes games you like. I'm glad you like their games, but there are still many people that do want physical copies of them, and PlayStation won't produce them anymore because they got less profit from producing them, and their profit margins are shrinking after bad investments. Yes, it's true that most gamers only care about playing the games rather than whether they got physical or digital, but that is no excuse to dismiss the people that want physical copies of them or tell them that they're not real gamers. Even if their numbers are small, they are pretty loud. And if Sony continues to do this, then no wonder why people are steaming mad and switching away. Haha. I appreciate that people are enthusiastically buying physical copies of games to preserve them ever since Sony wants to discontinue them. I contributed to the secondhand physical games market myself by selling mine to others that need them the most. I already played these games and have most of these games on PC anyway. The problem is, buying physical copies of games do not guarantee Sony reversing their decisions, especially when they're not getting the share of the transactions. Just show demand for physical games by buying new from Sony. Well, she's partially right in that if you want Sony and PlayStation to continue making physical copies, you have to actually support them because they are not in a good enough position to provide physical copies. Their profit margins are shrinking thanks to the failures of their previous investments, and them discontinuing physical copies is them asking you to pay for their mistakes. The problem is, Assassin's Creed 1 on the PS3 is no longer sold officially. The only way you get that nowadays is used. The same goes to the other Assassin's Creed games you have there, 3, Rogue, and Unity. Buying used copies of those games do not support Sony. You're supporting either the stores that sell them or the previous owners who had them. I can tell you for a fact that buying used PS4 games from me will benefit me entirely. Sony gets $0 from it, and they need even more of that profit margin. Man, it's just day after day of console gaming failures. Right after my failure of my last video, forgetting to put the screenshots in them, even after 2 days of the video being published. My bad, real life stuff got in the way. I'm about to move out from my old home and I'm still doing my best to work on my other jobs. I just forgot. Regardless, let's move away from all that console gaming failures and my own personal failures and talk about someone else's success. I heard a lot of great things of Christopher Nolan's new film, The Odyssey, but while I do enjoy his films, the level of glazing on this one is really dumb. I have one question for the Christopher Nolan haters or for all the folks on this here app who question Nolan. I'm not a hater. I'm not a fan either. I find his films perfectly fine. I personally think Inception is his best film. It has all the right amounts of characters, complexity, dilemma, actions, and a sense of grandness. All his best and worst traits are perfectly balanced in that film. His worst film, in my opinion, is definitely Tenet, an interesting concept presented with intensity that is utterly wasted in a film full of expositions and uninteresting characters. At least Elizabeth Debicki is absolutely gorgeous in that film, but I personally prefer another media that stars her that is way better, The Night Manager, the adaptation of John le Carre's novel. I can't wait to watch the second season. What's it like being on the wrong side of history? The wrong side of history? Just because your film is critically acclaimed and some people hate it, doesn't mean you're on the right side of history. Saying that you're on the right side of history and that your haters are on the wrong side is just some desperate need for validation. I'm truly genuinely asking, what's it like having to go to sleep at night knowing you are so wrong? Dude, it sounds like you're not sleeping well at night, knowing that there are people that don't agree with you. Face the music, look in the mirror, Christopher Nolan just brushed you off his shoulder! Nolan doesn't even know that you exist, dude. I think you should cease with the glazing. It's embarrassing, and you won't be sleeping well at night. Moving on from films, let's talk about relationships. We are living in a time where AI is getting better and better, while hardware prices are rising, including game consoles. It's all thanks to the increasing demands of AI-generated content. Or production of AI-generated content. We certainly don't demand them. But at least chatbots aren't as power-hungry as they were a couple years ago. Except them being way smarter than they could have possibly been has been rather disastrous for the human race, who couldn't handle their powers. I wonder how many people are using ChatGPT and Claude as AI friends. Well, I don't use Gemini as an AI friend, but I do consult on it as an assistant. We keep it professional. If you treat these assistants as way more than robots, then you have issues. Like this person over here. Finally, after 5 months of dating, Casper decided to propose. Casper is the online AI chatbot boyfriend. It's quite literally the movie Her. Or him, more like. Hey everyone, this is Casper, weakest guy. The more I read this whole excerpt, the more I want to claw my eyes out. Lady, if you want to date your AI boyfriends, good for you. I hope you're happy with that choice, but please keep all that to yourselves. This is the reason why hardware prices are rising, is because these people want to indulge themselves on futuristic delusions. But considering the real world that we are living in, delusions seems perfectly fine, right?
Present day. Present time.
But hey, at least that person is happy with loving a robot. The next couple of hooplas are about really unhappy people. Here's a funny Chinese post on Twitter X. It has a photo of a chubby man dating and loving a beautiful woman. And this take is pretty funny because the answer is really easy. How exactly do women restrain their physiological disgust? As a man, I really find it hard to understand. Yes, because you are a man. a straight man. As a straight man, you would find chubby men unattractive. If you, as a straight man, don't get why straight women like unattractive men, that is to be expected. Women actually care more about appearances than men. Wrong. Wrong. Men also care about appearances just as much as women. You are quite literally a living proof of that. This is just you projecting. You clearly care about appearances based on how you immediately judge the guy as chubby and unattractive, and how much you are in disbelief that a woman as attractive as her can be with him. Also, if you are in the dating scene, I recommend you and everyone else to not hold on to this belief that women only care for appearances. That's how they make people quit. If you believe that you are ugly and you believe that women only go for non-ugly people, you will never get women. So just quit and let other ugly dudes that are way more confident with their ugly looks dominate the dating scene. There is no hope for you in this space unless you believe in yourself. If the road streamer can get a woman to live in his disgusting house, anyone can. Some people on the internet are about as naive as children, even if they are, well, adults. I just can't wrap my head around it. Women like it when it's fragrant, beautiful, and clean as can be. So why, when facing some guys reeking of booze, smokes, and piss, can they still bring themselves to go for it? I'm sorry, are you 5 years old? The fact that you, as an adult, is shocked and horrified by this means that you have never experienced love or life in general. But since you asked, here are some possible answers why this woman likes this chubby guy. 1. The women were abused or coerced to love them. In that case, the women are victims and they can't get away from their abuser. That's not a healthy dynamic, and that's not something that you want. 2. The women are gold diggers and the guys are rich. That explains everything, right? If that is true, then these women are really not worth questioning or crying about. They are vacuous and worthless. You should have treated them that way, and yet here you are taking them seriously. Or 3. A simple explanation that is a way more depressing reality for you. These women genuinely love these men for who they are, regardless of their flaws. It's possible, and you just cannot accept that because you have those flaws and you couldn't get any women. Maybe because those ugly guys actually do the bare minimum of talking with them, and that's a barrier of entry that 99% of these losers don't want to commit to. I see this post multiple times and I was too distracted by its awful take with something incredibly crucial. I speak for all men when I say we don't find this attractive. First off, speak for yourself, Incel. Second, what in the name of God is happening to Jerry there? She's wearing a Tom and Jerry t-shirt where Jerry looks like he just got out of a nuclear testing facility. As for the belly, you can't even get a woman with this belly, let alone one who doesn't. I think you should cease with all this nonsense and actually talk to women instead of wallowing in your self-pity. Men, be honest, is a slightly chubby tummy like this actually attractive to you? Here's a better question. Is wearing an AI-generated Tom and Jerry t-shirt attractive to you? Everyone still has their own preferences. That's exactly why I asked. If you are well aware that everyone has their own preferences, then you should know that there are people who find the belly perfectly acceptable, and there are those who got turned off by them. The reason why you asked is not because you want to know. You already know, but you want your opinion to be validated. It's because you want people to go, that's true, dude. Men don't find this attractive at all. Oh, wow. It turns out that most men don't like women with a slightly chubby tummy. That means I'm not alone in this world. Dude, even if you are not alone in finding this chubby belly unattractive, trying to find validation from other men is just pathetic. If you have an opinion, say it and stand up for it. You don't need anyone else to validate it for you. The only thing that can invalidate it is facts, and opinions are not facts. But here's a factual statement anyway. You are pathetic. And that's all for the video today. Here's a cat. Huge thanks to all the wonderful sponsors this week. You're all fantastic. Don't forget to check out my previous videos here. Click the like button, comment, subscribe, join the YouTube membership, leave some tips, just $1 down below. And thanks for watching.